We are very pleased to start this morning's conference with a gentleman who has, I'm sure will have some very interesting things to say for us. Chhabilall Sharma is a psychiatrist, but also a refugee himself. Dr. Sharma works with refugees and immigrants in St. Paul, Minnesota. And we were very happy to find him because when we called our first potential group of speakers, they said, no, you got the wrong guy. Dr. Sharma is the person you want to talk to. And after several conversations, he graciously agreed to fly in for the last night very late from St. Paul and return to St. Paul today. So we're very pleased to have him here. Please welcome Dr. Sharma.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I would like to start by thanking Wara. I think TKD or PK might have referred my name to you. And Dr. Police, the Director of Institute of Community Research and Training at St. Rose College here, for inviting me to speak today. As Dr. Police has mentioned, that I'm a psychiatrist and I'm working at Center for International Health at St. Paul, and I work in two different clinics. One is where I see a lot of refugees from all over the world, and another place I work in suburban St. Paul clinic where I see regular American population. So I have experience of working with both groups of population. I am originally from Bhutan. That's another thing I want to mention. I have worked as a physician in Bhutan, and I worked in refugee camp in Nepal. I was one of the persons to establish refugee camp health services in Nepal. And then when I came to America in 2003, after my wife had taken asylum, and I came as in family reunification after 2 years in 2003. As time comes, I will also show my own experience as a refugee, how difficult it was to integrate in the beginning. I am going to present on cross-cultural approach to mental health and with refugees and immigrants. As I understand, there are two types of immigrants. Those are coming by pull factors of America being a country of opportunity. Lot of people with high education and with expectation of doing well, or they come here to educate themselves and start working here. And there are also people coming from, mostly from Latin American countries, to find job here. And there is another group of people who are pushed out of their country, and they are mostly refugees. America, as I want to point to the graph here. The blue line shows the number of refugees, immigrants in the country. It is around 42 million as of 2014, and then about 13% of US population is of foreign-born people. I want to, after the New World was discovered by Europeans, adventurers, lot of people have resettled in New World, and United States is probably one of the largest country where people from other parts of the world have immigrated. In the beginning, even up to 1960s, most of the people coming to the United States were from Europe. If you look at Italy, Germany, UK, Canada are the main source of immigrants at that time. And in more recently, people from other parts of the world. From 1975, when the Immigration Act was passed, people from other parts of the world were allowed to come. So now the largest population people coming from are from Asia, like India, China, and Mexico. Okay. This is a snapshot of refugees admission in USA in 2011. That was the height of recession in US. Usually US accepts around 70,000 refugees from different parts of the world. And this was the lowest in 2011. And the highest number of people accepted were from Burma, followed by Bhutan, from where I am, and followed by Iraq. This is a snapshot of refugee resettled in Minnesota, where I live. Most of the people in 2015 were resettled from Somalia, because we have large Somali population there. And most of the people are coming as family reunification program rather than new population. Followed by Burma, Iraq, and Bhutan. This is the clinic where I work, Center for International Health. This was established in 1975 when first people from Southeast Asian region, mainly Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, started coming to United States. So this has been, it was initially housed in a big hospital, and now it is an independent clinic. And if people are settled in St. Paul side of Twin Cities, this is one of the main clinic where people come for evaluation. And this is to show the languages spoken in that clinic. The most frequent language spoken is of course English, followed by Vietnamese, followed by Korean, followed by Nepali, Cambodian, and Somali. There is a definition by United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees for who is a refugee. There's a long one, so I do not want to go into details of that, but I want to tell two things. One is those people are not accepted in their own country, and they have fear of persecution, because of which they have to leave the country. It may be because of war, it may be because of calamity, it may be because of civil war. It may be because of ethnic or religious problems, and because of which they are displaced from their own country of origin. Refugees are ordinary people like any of us, but who have to live under extraordinary stress in their own country, maybe in the beginning, followed by place where they are displaced. Salient themes about refugees I want to mention is they have gone through tremendous losses, but they are also very resilient people. To survive a refugee situation, it is not easy, and they still have a lot of strength and hope for future. And the picture shows that this is a picture from the refugee camp in Nepal. These are young boys and girls. You can see that they are eager, and they probably don't even know that they have become refugees. What do they lose? They lose ease of communication. When you have to learn a new language and try to communicate, it is not easy. I started learning English together with same day as I started learning Nepali and Jonga in Bhutan. But still, I have an accent, and I sometimes fumble to find words. So it is not easy. Independence and self-sufficiency. You have a job. You have some resources. You have support system built around you. But that is all gone on a single strike of. Single moment of time when you have to leave your country. Security and stability of your life is gone. You lose all material possession, whatever you may have. Value of education and professional experience. I would like to add here my own experience. When I came to United States in 2003, my wife was already working, so they said that I didn't qualify for any support. But it was not enough, because my a majority of my family were still living in refugee camp in Nepal. So I had to work, and I have 2 daughters. So when I started working in a photocopy shop. That was the most difficult and very, what shall I say, most boring and tedious job. Followed by, I started working in a subway, and even now my wife and children do not want to eat subway sandwich because they felt that it was very hard on me. Then I started working at a gas station, which was a little better, but it was risky. Then afterwards, I started working as a nursing assistant in a TB clinic with the help of a physician who was willing to hire me. After that, I was able to get as a nursing assistant in a crisis center where I really wanted to be. And when I was working in the crisis center, I was able to pass my boards. And within a year, I was able to get into residency program in Minneapolis. That's why I moved there in 2007. So it is hard, even if you have professional experience and education. I mentioned this just to show it is common to a lot of people, and some of us can make it, some of us may not be able to make it, but then they are still trying to survive. Roots and connection of culture and social traditions are all lost. That is a big deal, because you feel confident that whatever you are saying or doing is understood by people. Here I have to every time think, am I doing the right thing? Do I understand these cultural nuances very well? These days I have learned to say, if I don't understand something, could you explain me? I don't understand this very well. I am from a different culture. It took me a long time to understand that, and it's okay to ask that. And I have found people graciously explaining me what they meant. Connection of family and friends, that's a big deal, and that's all gone. Your status is gone. I used to be a district medical officer, and I started working in a photocopy shop. So that was a big difference. Self-esteem and personal identity, everything is gone. But that is part of the loss. But as a human being, you would definitely like to survive, and you want to not only survive for yourself, but also for your family and the community. So most refugees have incredible resilience and strength. Learn to live with loss and still have hope. And this is true of all refugees, and especially people who are working with the refugee resettlement programs. I would like them to know this, because they are not helpless people, even if they don't. They are illiterate, they may be illiterate, they may not be able to speak, they may look like lost, but they have some inherent strength which we have to bring it out. As healthcare providers, we have to learn to understand their inner strength and draw the survival tenacity to help them regain control of their life situation. Because they have survived much more difficult odds than they are after resettlement in a developed country. So we have to try to find what they want and how they deal with certain situations, so that we can walk around that and make them able to stand on their own feet with our support. The stress faced during resettlement process, acculturative stress is a totally different culture, especially people coming from refugee camp in Nepal, or people coming from refugee camp in Thailand who are driven out from Burma. They have, many of them have not seen electricity, they do not know how to run their own household here, and they have to know about transportation. and the layout of healthcare system and the social security and the support system is very, very different, which is totally foreign to them. I think even people coming from Middle East and African countries, there is a huge difference. And there is always economic uncertainties. There is some support for 8 months in the beginning, and then there is always a push to make themselves self-sufficient, which is a good thing. At the same time, it is scary for them because of the situation. And with the Bhutanese refugees who started coming in 2008, and I know this population best, it was really, really hard because they came at the height of recession, and then because of that, there was so much of stress that so far 58 people have committed suicide in this community, the highest among the refugee resettled in this country. But at the same time, if you look at how they are doing now, they are doing wonderfully overall. But it was extremely hard. Ethnic and cultural discrimination. You look different, you speak different, and you behave differently. Of course, people who are going to hire you are going to think, are the other people going to be comfortable with these people? Are these people going to be able to do the job they are hired for? So it is going to be difficult. What kind of cultural stress? Some of them may be repetitious, so I will just skip over them. The layout of the market, layout of the transportation, layout of how the healthcare system is set up, the social security benefit and all this, like people from Bhutan, we never had any support system whatsoever other than the schooling and healthcare in our country. So they have no concept that you can get help from government for anything. So they want to stand on their own feet. But there are people coming from other parts of the world where they have some system and they want more help than what is available. So sometimes that's a problem. So disruption of traditional support system, lack of social support, especially when you know where to go, what to do, and whom to contact, that's all lost. Less able to utilize health services due to language barrier. Language is a big, big thing because we are human beings and we have to communicate, and we communicate through language. We use interpreters, but interpreters cannot communicate everything for us. Transportation and lack of culturally appropriate services is another thing. If they don't feel that we are understood, we can, people are sensitive to or listening to us, and they care about what we are saying, they are not going to be very comfortable. In the first place, their concept of health is totally different from ours. And especially about mental health, stigma is a big deal. And only thing they know about mental health in most of the developing world is insanity and out of control behavior. You do not want to be identified as one in that group, because then you become a person outside of the society, because of which there's a strong stigma. So they would always couch their presentation in physical terms. Economic stress, of course. They have nothing. They have come with nothing and with no experience. Every time you go for interview, they will ask, what is your job experience? You just entered the country. You have no experience here in the US. Whatever you had in the back home, oh, that sounds nice, but that doesn't work here. So somebody told me that USA stands for you start again. So you start from the beginning. And so you will have a lot of economic hardship, frustrating and stressful job experience. I gave my own example. Non-recognition of qualification experiences. It is very hard, especially people who are highly qualified and they are not able to do what they are able to do in their country. After coming here, if they are not, they are under the, because their own family expects them to do well. they themselves want to do well. They try hard, and if they don't succeed, they have the worst experiences. Unemployment, underemployment is very, very common. Unemployment is also very common, and leading to lower life satisfaction. Even though they may be looking like surviving all right, but they have lost what they expected. And another thing is, from outside, America looks like a shining star. Oh, once I go there, everything will be good. Nobody knows that there is a lot of struggle to survive here, even for American population, American-born people. And people coming from another country with very little education and lack of language skill, it is extremely difficult. Ethnic and cultural discrimination is sometimes obvious, sometimes subtle. Because if you look like somebody totally outside of the system, of course there is going to be direct or indirect discrimination. So the major health problems seen in the immigrant and refugee population is quite similar to all the other population. They also suffer from major psychiatric problems like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, but the most common problem seen are assessment disorder, major depressive disorder, anxiety disorder. PTSD is a very common problem that is seen in the refugee population. Somatic symptom disorder, that may be part of how they present. They usually present as some type of pain in their head, chest, different parts of the body, dizziness, sleep problem, but they would not say that I'm feeling sad or unless you ask them directly. Unless you, do you worry too much? They may say yes, but they will not tell us in the beginning. And we have to look at them, how they walk, how they talk, how they behave, whether they are shy, they are trying to avoid eye contact, all those things. We have to not only ask them questions, but also observe them very carefully and what might be going on. And intellectual development disorder, this is one thing I want to really mention. In developed part of the world, children are given vaccination from the beginning. They have eyes and ears checked, speech problem. If it emerges, they start speech therapy, and then they do the IQ test, and they are already categorized into different categories by the time they become adult. People come from developing part of the world without any of those other than the maybe vaccination. And then if they were able to take care of a cow or work in a farm under the supervision of somebody else, that doesn't mean this person will be able to find job in United States or Western Europe, because their IQ level or their language capability is, they may be looking like anybody talking the same language, and for a person who is born and raised here, that person may not look any different from any other person, but that person may be very low functioning, and there is no way to do testing of any type because of language barrier. So they may have a difficulty to get benefits. Prevalence of PTSD and depression in refugee and immigrant population is very high. According to several studies, they have found between 4 and 86%. 83% of people who came from Cambodia were found having PTSD, and 43% of the people who came from Bhutan were also found to have PTSD. So it differs from different population group. So challenges to providing mental health care. First, patient do not show up. the day they are expected to show up. It may be because of transportation. It may be because of their insurance has lapsed, because nobody told them they have to fill the forms. There are too many forms coming to their houses, and they may not have anybody who knows English well, or even if they know a little bit, they may do it wrong, and then by the time they are supposed to come to the clinic, they are said, oh no, you can't. You do not have insurance. And they may be not well that day due to some type of illness. So we have to, there are policies in different clinics that if the person does not show up one time or two times, they are struck out, and after that it is very hard to get into to see a therapist or a psychiatrist for a long time. Hierarchy of priorities. For us as providers, we think that it should be their most important thing to come and consult you. But for them, how to get money to take care of their family, how to get a job so that they can support themselves, whether they are having proper housing or not, or their houses are infested by bed bugs. Those things may have higher priority to them. Family and children. Of course, everybody comes to America thinking that my children and grandchildren are going to do well. So their education, their welfare is more important than their own health in many instances, and other medical problems which may be more pressing. And another thing is, I mentioned earlier, stigma also prevents them from coming to mental health facility. For the healthcare providers, this is for primary healthcare providers, they have to, I can look into this seriously. There is a move in the United States to bring it to every clinic that when they screen the refugee population, they have to ask some 15 questions to make sure that they have mental health problem or not. But the 15 questions are very long, and the primary physician may have other priorities and they may not have enough time to do that. Fear of doing damage by asking, because they don't feel very comfortable dealing with psychiatric condition, and especially for a population who is foreign to them. They don't speak the language and they are afraid that maybe I will ask a wrong question and they may have problem. Fear of cultural incompetence, maybe I don't understand them enough. Maybe I should not be the person to bring this up. Lack of interpreters or cultural brokers who can help. Not every clinic has many interpreters. Online interpreters may be all right, but it is easier and better to have a interpreter present in front of you so that they can do more than what online can do. Use of layman's language versus medical jargon. As physicians, we are used to using the medical jargon, and we don't even realize that other people don't understand. That is not English, that is medical jargon, and we have to speak simple English. Western model of healthcare, biopsychosocial model of mental health, as we understand in Western world, most people coming from the refugee situation have no concept of that. If you ask me about the Buddhists, their concept about mental health is witchcraft, bad karma, bad planetary position, and angry ancestral spirits and things like that. So we have to educate them about what causes mental health problems. And we have to also take into consideration whether their religious or traditional practices have a conflict about how to go about solving their problem. If somebody is highly religious and wants to read Quran or recite something else, we have to say, okay, you do that. Whatever you used to do in the past, please do that. But on top of this, if you are not sleeping well or if you are feeling very anxious, this can help. May work better than saying that, no, this is depression and you take the medication and talk to a therapist. That is the solution. I don't think that would work. So in order to provide effective health care, we have to show solidarity. We are here for you with the help of the community, and the healthcare system is behind you. Second, we try to bring out the agency in the person themselves that this is my problem and I will try to solve it. So how do we show solidarity is by establishing good rapport with the patient. How do we do that? First of all, they have to feel they are safe. Second, we show respect so that they feel that, okay, I'm not nobody, because they have suffered at the hand of authorities in their countries and in the country where they were displaced. So they are more sensitive than the rest of the population. So it is very important that we show good respect to them so that they are able to understand, okay, I'm respected as an individual, so I can speak. Reliability, they have to feel that, okay, I can tell anything to this person. It's reliable, my confidentiality will not be violated. Helpfulness, yes, this person wants to know more about me and wants to help me. Care, yes, this person cares about me. And trust. With all those things we can build trust. Get family and community members involved where appropriate. In most developing countries, the health problem of an individual is a family problem. And here it is, in the Western world, it is individual's problem. Because of HIPAA rules, many a times we cannot share information about the patient to the family. I remember a case in Minnesota when a patient was admitted to the hospital, psychiatric unit, and the lady was paranoid, and she had a delusion that her husband may be the problem. So she would not sign the release of information. The husband came and then he was asking, I want to know what's happening to my wife. She's here for 3 days and nobody is telling me anything. And he was getting angry. And luckily I happened to be there, and then they said, oh, what can we do? And I tried to explain to him, you see here, the person has to sign, your wife is not in a condition to sign the paper yet. I didn't tell that she's paranoid about him, because of which they cannot tell you anything. But we can get all the information from you, but we cannot tell you anything. How nice that sounds. But that's what we do. And after some time, he was very, very irate at that time, but he said, okay, when can I expect to get more information? As soon as he is better and able to sign this, we will be able to talk to you. In 2 days' time, she was better, she was already on medication. So then things went well, and then we had a family meeting. So it can be very hard that way. Supportive environment. We have to be able to provide supportive environment to the people. Integrative, cooperative, and culturally sensitive approach. Integrative in the sense that primary care and mental health care is in our clinic. We have most of the clinic is primary health care clinic, and I and one more psychiatrist work, and we have a therapist. That's the mental health piece. Otherwise, it is all primary care. So we coordinate with each other very well. And we also try to be cooperative about like reciting their text or involving a shaman or involving a Dhami or Jagri in Buddhist population. And culturally sensitive approach that, yeah, we try to respect other people's culture and whatever they had been doing before, and if it didn't harm them, it is not going to harm them now. So that's okay. So that helps us to build trust. Helpful tips to the primary providers. Talk to the patient. Do not be afraid to ask, but do allow them to stop you. What I mean by this is, I am going to ask you some questions about your past. If you feel very uncomfortable about something, please do not tell me. You can stop me. Even if I ask the question, you can stop me. You do not have to go where you do not want to go. Just that. And whatever they are comfortable at, in first meeting they may not be. Next meeting they may be more forthcoming. And fourth or fifth they may be breaking down and telling you everything. So it takes time, but we have to be able to do that. Describe problem in layman's term, as I told you already, because mostly we use medical jargon and they don't understand. Another thing is, are you worried too much? Do you cry? Do you feel sad? Do you have difficulty with sleeping? And do you think this is a problem? Are you able to function like you used to function when you were doing very well? Those are some of the questions that will bring out if they are functioning well or not. Functioning is a major, you cannot say, we cannot diagnose somebody has a mental health problem just because they have symptoms. They have to also have functional difficulties. Ask them how they have tried to deal with the problem. This is key. Whenever this happened in the past, how did you deal with it? What are you doing now? Is it helping? And what else can help? We have to exhaust their own resources, and then on top of that, maybe this will help if you are not sleeping. Maybe this will help if you are feeling very sad and crying. Tell them they can get more help with those symptoms. Because if the primary care physician is not comfortable and they feel that the person needs to be referred, I have referred you to a psychiatrist. Will not work. They don't know what a psychiatrist is, what a therapist is. They have to say that if you are having this problem, there are people who deal with this problem better than what we know, and I want to refer to a person like that. Are you willing to go? You may get some medication, or they may talk to you and try to find ways to help you. Are you willing to do that? If they do not have that conversation, they will come to my appointment, for example, and they are like, my doctor told me to see you. Did they tell you anything? No. And then when you say that I'm a psychiatrist, I deal with a mental health problem, they are shocked. What's my problem? Am I crazy? You know that, because there's so much of stigma on that, that should be smoothened out before they are referred, so that it's easy. Ask them if they would be willing to see mental health providers. That is key. And this is probably one of my last slides. Agency. Agency is the resource within us that this is my problem. I have a problem, but I can solve it. I can do it. So that is something which helps us to overcome a problem. We have to try to bring that out. Everybody has it, but we have to bring it out as much as we can. The key element of strength is personal responsibility. That this is my problem and I want to solve it. When the patient recognizes themselves as individual, he or she is intelligent, responsible and motivated. That you are going through a stressful time. This is a difficult situation for you, but you have shown incredible strength in the past. You have done this and that. In the history, we have collected a lot of information about that person. We have to cite all that and say that, you know, this is just part of you. This is a problem part of you, but you have inner strength. And we have to bring that out so that they realize when you are depressed, you don't realize you have strength. You don't feel that you are intelligent and you can do it. To help our patient regain control over their lives, we have to agree to give up some of our power and tap their cultural and personal resources. Or you have come to see me, this is what you need to do. Will not work. That is part of it. At the end of it, maybe this will also help. But if you are doing exercise, please continue to do. If you are not doing, that may help. If you are not sleeping, sleep hygiene is another thing that I always emphasize. Eating healthy is another thing that I always emphasize. Talking to other family members or friends or people whom they usually consult is a very important aspect of getting better. And especially if they are using alcohol or other means of mal-coping mechanisms, we have to talk about that and say that increases your problem. And what can you do about that? And do you need help for that? And if they say that, we go to mosque or we go to church, we go to mandir, we have to say that if spiritual aspect is very important to you, please do what you used to do. And that can be a source of strength to you.
Okay, well, we're about out of time. Let us thank Dr. Sharma for the presentation.